Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever really stopped to consider what truly separates those businesses that seem to just, you know, pop up and then disappear from the ones that consistently build long-term wealth? The ones that seem almost impervious to competition? What's their secret sauce?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what's fascinating here is that the answer often lies in something Warren Buffett famously called economic moats,
Ah, moats, like a castle.
exactly like a castle. He believed that truly great companies are protected by these sustainable competitive advantages. They shield the business.
That's such a powerful idea, especially today. And that's what we're diving into, how to spot these invisible fortresses. We're drawing heavily from Pat Dorsey's book, The Little Book That Builds Wealth.
Right. Dorsey, he was a top stock research director at Morningstar for years. Really well respected.
And he became known for teaching investors how to identify these exact moats, these durable protections that shield a company, letting it compound wealth over, well, decades sometimes.
hmm And Dorsey identifies several types. One of the really powerful ones often stems from intangible assets,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically within that category, regulatory licenses.
Okay, so regulations acting as a moat.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies enjoy almost monopoly-like positions just because regulations limit who else can play. The license itself becomes this, like, impenetrable barrier.
Wow. Okay, give me an example.
Well, think about bond rating firms. Moody's, for instance. They have operating margins often over 50%. Huge.
50%. How?
A big reason is they need government approval. They have to be a nationally recognized statistical ratings organization. That official stamp is required to rate bonds that investors widely use.
Ah, so the government essentially limits the competition pool right from the start.
Exactly. It doesn't just block competitors. It makes their service essential and high margin, predictable revenue.
You're right.
And, it's not just national stuff. This brings up another key point Dorsey makes about not in my backyard companies,
Right.
NIMBY.
NIMBY,
Right.
like waste haulers.
Waste haulers, aggregate producers, the folks dealing with trash or gravel. Getting local approvals for a new landfill or quarry, almost impossible. Community opposition is intense.
Okay, I can see that. Nobody wants a quarry next door.
Right, so this creates these incredibly lucrative local mini monopolies. Because think about it, trash, gravel, it's super heavy, expensive to transport very far.
So you can't just truck it in cheaply from somewhere else.
Pretty much. So local regulation and just the physics of the materials combined creates a very sticky regional moat.
That makes perfect sense. The cost of entry is just huge, legally and logistically. Okay, but shifting gears a bit. Another big moat type is switching costs, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
This is a really powerful one. Basically making it incredibly hard or inconvenient or just costly for customers to leave, even if a cheaper option pops up.
So you're kind of locked in.
You are. Consider Intuit QuickBooks TurboTax.
Lots of small businesses use QuickBooks.
Yeah, exactly. And once a small business is embedded in QuickBooks, the time, the effort, the sheer risk of moving all that financial data to a new system, it's just too high for most.
It's not just the software cost, it's the headache.
It's the operational disruption, the potential for errors.
Yeah.
That friction creates deep loyalty. It makes Intuit a real wealth compounding machine, as Dorsey would say.
Yeah, that mental and operational friction builds the wall. Or thinking about like specialized fields, healthcare, maybe?
Perfect example. Think about companies like Waters Corporation. They sell sophisticated lab equipment, high-end liquid chromatography machines, things like that.
Very specialized.
Very. And switching from one of their systems isn't just buying new gear, which is already expensive. It means retraining what Dorsey calls a small army of lab techs and scientists.
Oh, wow, the downtime alone.
Exactly. Significant lost time, lower productivity, maybe even botched experiments during the switch. That kind of pain. It ensures customers think very, very carefully before leaving.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so we have regulations, switching costs. What's the third big one?
Maybe the most powerful and definitely one of the hardest to replicate is the network effect.
Ah, the network effect. Where the value goes up, the more people use it.
It explodes, yeah. It's a virtuous cycle. The more users, the more valuable it becomes, which attracts more users and so on.
It's a powerful flywheel, like Microsoft Windows, Word, Excel.
Classic example.
Yeah.
So many people use them because, well, everyone else uses them.
Right. It's the standard.
It became the common language, the standard for knowledge workers everywhere. This huge installed base created a self-reinforcing loop, made it incredibly hard for even free, pretty good alternatives like OpenOffice to get much traction.
Because of compatibility issues or just inertia?
Both, really. perceived or actual file compatibility hurdles,
Right.
plus just the sheer weight of everyone already being on the Microsoft platform.
And eBay is another great one.
Oh yeah, the marketplace.
Buyers are there because the sellers are there. Sellers are there because the buyers are there. It's a powerful two-sided network.
Imagine trying to start a competitor now. You'd need to somehow attract millions of buyers and sellers all at once from scratch.
Yeah, that sounds nearly impossible, like building a new city when everyone's happy in the existing one.
Exactly, an incredibly tall order.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? Pat Dorsey basically argues that spotting these economic moats is just critical for long-term investing.
Because they signal which companies are those rare wealth compounding machines.
The ones that can potentially grow wealth steadily over time.
And a really fascinating point the book makes is that a company's greatness, it's often more about these built-in structural advantages, these moats, than just having a brilliant CEO making choices day to day.
Right. It reminds me of that famous Buffett quote, when management with a reputation for brilliance tackles a business with a reputation for bad economics, it is the reputation of the business that remains intact.
Such a good quote. It emphasizes the power of the underlying business structure.
It really does. It makes you think differently about the companies you interact with every day. So maybe the challenge for you is this. The next time you use a service, buy a product, whatever, just pause and ask yourself, what kind of moat, if any, is protecting this business? And, maybe more importantly, how durable does that moat look?
But that one question can really change how you see the whole economic landscape around you.
Absolutely. A lot to think about there.